Appreciate you taking your time to join us. This is an important topic for community banks, and we're very excited to bring you insight from top experts and bankers that are experienced with the topic of moving to your own bank domain. And so before we get started, I want to introduce you to our speakers today. First, we have Craig Schwartz. And Craig is president of the fTLD Registry Services, the organization that operates the .bank domain. Craig brings deep expertise in domain security and financial sector digital trust, and we're fortunate to have him with us today. Then we have Mark Field, president of the Liberty Bank in Liberty, Illinois. And Mark will share his bank's perspective on adopting and leveraging .bank, including the operational and customer-facing benefits his institution has seen. And then rounding out the speaker panel, we'll have Chad Holthouse from 1NB, Carlisle, Illinois. Chad will discuss implementation, security considerations, and the practical realities of transitioning to a .bank domain. And so thank you all for being here. Towards the end of our webinar, we will have a banker's Q&A, and so as well as a technical Q&A. And if you all have any questions, please put them in the chat. Kristen is our technical moderator, Kristen Rogers from Kristen's Concepts. She will compile those questions and we will answer those accordingly. Okay, so we are going to start off with Craig Schwartz.
Thank you. So thank you to Jenny and Kristen for organizing today's webinar, and to Mark and Chad for taking time out of their busy schedules to share their .bank journey with us. Speaking with bankers about the critical importance of domain security, which encompasses websites and email, is something that I do every day, and it is absolutely the most favorite part of my job. In a world where there's far too much to read than anyone has time for anymore, it's discussions like this that offer the best opportunity to learn, and just as importantly, to ask questions, which I hope you will do today, again, through the chat box, as Jenny noted. Over the course of the next 10 minutes or so, it's my intention that you will walk away with a strong understanding of what .bank can do for your bank and your customers. Throughout the webinar, you're going to hear me talk about trust and confidence many, many times, and these are the underpinnings of a strong approach to online security. And one final note for those of you who may not know is that fTLD Registry, which operates .bank and .insurance, was established in 2011 by leading banking trades, including the ICBA, ABA, and the Bank Policy Institute. And today we continue to be industry owned and industry governed by banks, insurance companies, and those trade associations. And we really operate much like a utility to the financial services sector. So thank you for advancing to the problem, Jenny. And the real problem is that banks and their customers are in a place now where they don't really know who they can trust anymore. Whether they can read and trust something or hear and trust something. And unfortunately, artificial intelligence is making this even harder. For banks, it turns into more time and energy spent on fraud mitigation, particularly that focused online. And for fraudsters, it's actually a bit of a gift because it makes their jobs a lot easier. When it comes to online fraud perpetrated against banks and their customers, it almost universally starts with what we call a lookalike domain. So a domain that's registered generally in .com that looks very much like a real bank name. So it could be banknamesecurity.com. And it's used to set up a spoofed website very quickly. And lo and behold, soon there are phishing and spoofing emails that are coming off of that domain. And the problem is .com domains are very inexpensive, they're readily available, and you can go to a company like GoDaddy today and buy something for sometimes pennies, and with the assistance of AI, again, create that spoofed website, and then the bad stuff starts to happen very quickly, and it often can lead to business email compromise, it can lead to ransomware, and the things that you folks deal with all the time. Another compounding factor is that in common domains like .com, there's no security that's required, which is not to say that a bank that uses a .com domain is less secure. However, not only do we mandate that certain types of security be implemented, we also monitor it daily for compliance. It's a free part of our operation. And when we see and detect vulnerabilities at a bank's website or in their email, we contact the bank, we work with them on a remediation strategy, and the goal always is to keep the bank and their customers safe. What this translates to banks and their customers is websites and emails that their customers can trust. Because our domain is restricted to retail banks and their trade associations, we know who we're talking to, you know who you're dealing with, and that's what makes it safer and more secure. Jenny, if you can go to the next slide. So a solution which is really an additional layer of protection, in addition to all of the things banks do every day to safeguard themselves and their customers, Bank is an add-on to that. And you can train employees and customers about how to avoid phishing and spoofing, but it's really far more powerful to give them something that they can see and trust and come to have confidence in. And when you use a .bank domain and your customer sees that in your website or in your email, that is the visual sign of authenticity, and they know that they can engage with that content. I think what gets in the way of banks making the move are a couple of things. One is there's a perception that it's a complicated process to do. And Jenny and Kristen are going to talk about how what they offer makes some of those things easier. It's also something that we talk about with bankers all the time. And Jenny, I'm just noting the slides, at least to me, look smaller than they had been before, but that could be a me thing. The other, I think, misperception about .bank is that it's expensive to implement. And I will generally tell bankers that for about $2,500 a year, which is inclusive of their domain registration, they can implement .bank security. I think another big issue is fear of change and fear of the unknown. Right? Banks have pretty much only ever known .com since they established their first online presence. So the notion of moving away from something that's different can be scary. The good news is that whether it's CBAI or it's fTLD or it's your core, we all have lots of experience in helping banks switch and use us as a resource and come to rely on us. Jenny, if you go to the next slide. So referencing statistics in a presentation is always a little bit of a double-edged sword, because statistics are in the eye of the beholder, whether they're strong or whether they're not. But we do want to point out and highlight some of the progress that we've made, including that 40% of the banks in the US own at least one .bank domain name. And of those 40%, 50% of those are actively using them now. So about 825 banks in the US, which represents about 20% of all banks in the United States. It also means that there are another 50% of banks that own domains that are not taking advantage of it, and they have this underutilized asset. So if you consider that financial services has always been a highly targeted vector for online abuse, and that AI is making it easier, you can see that banks need to do everything they possibly can to shore up their defenses and reinforce the confidence that customers have in them. I'd also be remiss if I didn't say that all of the security that we practice and preach for .bank, you should be doing in your .com domain, whether or not you plan to move to .bank or not. So you should be authenticating your email. You should be using strong TLS encryption. You should be implementing DNSSEC. And what is one of the things that I could say with 100% certainty about .bank is that when you see a bank website ending in .bank, you know that you are at the real deal. It's where you intended to go. And it's really, as I mentioned earlier, the lookalike domains that cause the greatest headache for banks. Jenny, next slide, please. Great. So with your switch to .bank, you create website certainty for people you do business with. Adding .bank to your security arsenal, again, another layer, absolutely reduces the risk of AI attacks, phishing and spoofing, and adds operational resilience for your organization, full stop. Most of all, again, it's this trusted symbol. Think of it like a trust mark. And by looking for that .bank, you know that you are where you're supposed to be. And what we're really proud of is that in our now 11 years of operations, we've never had a confirmed case of phishing and spoofing that have come from one of our domains. And it's because we make sure that we don't have bad actors in our space and that we're only working with legitimate retail banks and their trade associations. And I think one more slide for me, Jenny, maybe two. So at the risk of sounding a bit like a broken record, now's the time to switch to .bank as attacks become more frequent and more sophisticated, aided by AI. You need to do everything commercially reasonable to protect your bank. And that includes the domain we're talking about today. We do see a lot of banks making the switch when they're doing a website refresh or a rebranding exercise, or they're coming out of a merger or a consolidation event. So that is a good time to consider making the switch as well. But when you think about the cost, the investment of about $2,500 a year relative to everything else that you spend money on, it really is a very smart move for banks to do for their customers. And I'm sure you'll hear Chad and Mark talk about this momentarily. And now, Jenny, we'll get to my last slide. Thank you. So how it works is really straightforward. If you don't already have a domain, you can come to our website, register.bank. You can complete a verification application. It literally will take you all of about 2 minutes. And if you have questions about .bank or about the process, there's also a big schedule a meeting with me button on the top of our website. You can do that with me anytime. If you already have a domain and you want to discuss moving forward with it, if you are looking to CBAI and to take advantage of their services, you can reach out to Jenny and her team. You can also reach out to me, again, through the website. I think my email and phone number will also be listed at the end of the presentation. But we can schedule a 15 to 20 minute call, go through best practices, talk about what other banks have done. And the one thing that you probably want to do on the early side is engage with the service providers that help you with whether it's website hosting or email if you use a managed service provider, or perhaps your DNS provider. And it could be that your core does all of these for you. So it could be one-stop shopping. You know, one of the benefits maybe now of coming in when bank is in its 11th year versus I think when Mark and his bank did it about 10 years ago is that service providers know who we are, they know what to do, they have plans for implementing .bank pretty seamlessly. 10 years ago was not the case. And when we were talking to Jack Henry and Fiserv and CSI, and they're like, what is this bank thing and what are we supposed to do with it? That's old news, thankfully. So if you're using one of those cores or others, they are all very well suited now to help you on your journey. And with that, I will turn the webinar back over to Jenny for our next speaker.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to introduce you to Mark Field. Mark has served on the State Banking Board of Illinois since 1997 and is known for his advocacy for community banking and his legislative work in the banking industry. He's active in Community Bankers Association of Illinois and the Independent Community Bankers of America. Liberty Bank has been using their .bank domain for 10 years now. And next, I would like to introduce you to Chad Holthouse. Chad has been with 1NB Bank in Carlisle since 2004 and serves as their Chief Operating Officer and has served as the City Treasurer for Carlisle since 2006 and contributes to many local community organizations. 1NB Carlisle began using their .bank domain relatively recently, February 2nd, I believe, of this year. And so with that said, I would like to remind everyone there's questions, to put your questions in the chat and Kristen will compile those and we will take care of that for you. And my thing is advancing here. Let me go back. Okay, so anyway, Mark, I wanted to ask a few questions for you real quick. Liberty Bank registered its first domain in 2015, fTLD.bank. The bank's name at that time was the Farmers Bank of Liberty, and went live in 2016 with your .bank website. What factors impacted your bank's decision to switch to .bank when you did in 2016?
Well, I can summarize things pretty succinctly, Jenny. And we actually use the same concept in our advertising campaign to introduce the new site. And my point to everybody was that anyone, anywhere in the world can be a .com. As you heard Craig describe earlier, you can be in a basement in Russia and register a name that sounded similarly to what we had at that time. Our original website URL was fblbank.com. And as soon as you see the security issues that came out and the spin-off names that are very similar, when it was mentioned that .bank was going to be a real thing, it just made sense to us to get aligned with that and have something that's verifiable and trusted. And the thing we did right after we launched our first .bank site, we ended up changing the bank's name. So then we got to register another URL, and at that point, I didn't know Craig personally. We registered one that was available, and then later found out that we could get liberty.bank, which was what I was after as soon as we changed the name in 2017. So I think it was late in the year 2017 when we got the liberty.bank lined up. So to us, we're very proud of our industry, and was very glad to see the .bank domains become available for the banks to differentiate us from all the other .coms from anywhere in the world.
Did you transition your email at that time as well in 2016, or did you wait?
We did it as quickly as we could. And as Craig also mentioned, there was a lot of learning still going on in the early days. And actually, we were riding Jenny's coattails, and we had to move our email from a local ISP at that time anyway, because they were discontinuing some services. And so we kind of I don't want to say we pushed Jenny, I'll say she pulled us along as quick as the infrastructure was in place to do that. So it was, as smooth of a transition as possible with our old fTLD.bank.com email addresses. They just became aliases for the new .bank, and all the emails came through. We didn't miss a single one. And some years later, then, of course, after we changed the bank's name, we actually let the old .com and the original fTLD.bank sites go because it no longer had any relevance to the name Liberty Bank. So that part was pretty darn painless.
Chad, you purchased 1nbbank.bank in, I think, September of 2023, and you just went live with the new .bank domain website on February 2nd of this year. What impacted your decision on switching to .bank when you did 3 years down the road?
For us, I think it was just a matter of we've been paying for the .bank site for a couple of years without getting the benefit of it. So it just made sense. If we're going to pay that renewal fee for the .bank, we might as well get the benefits, the security of having the .bank. So that was our driving factor as far as why we switched.
Sure. Did you migrate your email at the same time?
We did.
Sure.
We did. However, I would recommend taking somewhat of a precursor approach. So we took myself and one of our other employees here and migrated just 2 of us first on the emails, just to kind of feel it out, see if there's going to be emails that got blocked as far as being sent or what have you. So we were able to work out any small issues just with just the 2 of us before we rolled it out to all of our employees, and that seemed to work out well for us.
Good. Hey, Mark, as president and chairman of your bank, how involved were you in the process?
Well, as usual, I get too involved. In a bank our size, everybody wears a lot of hats anyway. And unfortunately, the buck stops here. So yeah, I get usually eyeballs deep in projects like that. The good news was it didn't end up being that big of an issue. So it didn't take a lot of my time, but I was very involved.
Chad, how involved were you?
The same as Mark. I pretty much served as our project manager for the bank, but I found myself being more of just a coordinator, essentially, of a lot of our vendors. Obviously CBAI was heavily involved. Kristen, with our website developer, was heavily involved, and then also, we talked with our vendor that hosts our in 365. So really between those 3 key vendors, they did a lot of the heavy lifting, and we were just maybe coordinating the efforts.
Good. Well, I would like to ask both of you some questions. How would you describe the cyber security benefits to a banker considering to switch to .bank?
You want me first, Jenny?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. As far as the benefits, and I don't know all the technological aspects of the magic that Craig works behind the scenes, but I remember there being some restrictions on redirects, which was a big thing back in those days too, as far as the spoof sites, tricking people and then redirecting them to somewhere else. So that was important to me, in addition to, the verification process. I remember having to jump through a few hoops, not too many, to verify that, yes, we were indeed a commercial bank and we did exist. And I think one of the other employees had to accept an email and say, yeah, Mark really is who he says he is, and such like that. So So again, I don't pretend to know all the security features. I just knew that I wanted them. And again, from a marketing perspective, I think it was also important to me, not just the security, but in a Me Too game of .com, .bank just stood out more for me.
Dad, you have anything to add?
Yeah, for us, I think the biggest benefit was just basically advising our customers to begin looking for that .bank, both on like when they're going to our website or receiving any emails from us, knowing that .bank does provide security behind it, and that, as Craig alluded to earlier, it's much highly unlikely for a .bank domain to be spoofed than it is a .com. So that's where we see the biggest benefit.
How did you prioritize to switch among so many other important projects you all have going on with your, internal upgrades and changes?
Well, we juggle things every day, so it was no problem to make sure that we kept the ball rolling on this project. It just worked. We didn't have to stop other projects to start this one. It wasn't that intrusive to us.
Yeah, and I would say too that with the cost being relatively low to implement this process was probably one of our driving factors as well.
Did anything materialize during the switch? Any issues at all? Was it pretty seamless?
Been a while, but no, I don't recall there being anything. Again, I had the benefit of having you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think there were really any big speed bumps for us either. Like I said, we had the benefit of working with some vendors that had already gone through the process several times, so they were able to make sure that we were where we needed to be when we transitioned.
Did you consult with any of your vendors, your hosting provider or core provider before you decided to make the switch?
In our case, we ended up going through a different registrar because they were being promoted at the time by CBAI, and I didn't know that we could go straight to Craig. Looking back, I don't know that I gained a lot from using that outside party. Nothing against them, but yeah, that's the only other folks that I talked to at that time. Really doesn't touch our core at all. It was strictly the email and the web hosting, which CBAI took over for me.
For us, I did contact our core, and with our core, they do whitelist our domains. So, that was something that we did have to have in place prior to, converting. And then the biggest thing I think with working with the core is it seems like a lot of our products send out email notifications to our customers, whether they're verification emails, security emails, different things like that. And we wanted those to come from our .bank email domains. Your core does have to get involved, or at least on our end, our core had to be involved.
The technical lift of everything, switching to .bank, is there anything you could say to reassure the banker that who may be concerned about the technical lift, how that affected your decision or the transition to .bank?
Just do it.
I would say too, if the time and effort to make the change is, I think, much less than one might think. And then for us, we kept our .com site, our previous site, email domain, and I think that gives you a little bit of a safety net. If something were to go wrong on day one or what have you, your .com site and email still continue to work.
Great. Did you proactively notify your customers prior to the switch?
In our case, what we did was we turned our old .com into a landing page that said, hey, here's our new name. You can either click here to go to liberty.bank, or you can just go straight to liberty.bank and save us as a new favorite and skip that. So we really didn't give anybody a heads up. Again, we had the email still coming in under the old email addresses. So as time went on, we'd say, hey, folks, we got a new email address, put in your book, your address book and so forth. But it really was a non-event. But we did keep control over that domain for several years. And I don't remember how long we kept that landing page live, but it was a while.
It was a while,
yeah.
For us, we did place like a banner ad on our statements 2 months before we went live. So we felt that was probably going to reach the majority of our customers. We also had little placards at the teller windows for customers that were walking into the bank, so they would see that before we went live. And then I think the day before, or maybe a couple days before, we sent text messages to all of our online banking users. We wanted to give them plenty of notice ahead of time that change was coming.
Did you directly go to .bank? I mean, it just went straight to your website that day, February 2nd?
So we didn't do the landing page. We basically just had a redirect. So anybody that did go to our previous .com was redirected right away.
Did either one of you receive any inquiries from your customers regarding the change?
I'm sure we had a few people asking the folks at the front lines. I did not really get any calls, which, small town, everybody knows how to get a hold of me, so they couldn't have been too concerned.
Yeah, we didn't have really much feedback from customers either. If we did, most of it, or the few that would have asked about it, they just wanted to make sure that online banking didn't change.
Have either one of you had another bank contact you regarding the .bank domain?
I think we did originally, but that, 10 years ago, I've slept since then. I don't remember the specific questions they might have been asking, but, I'm sure I had some people asking about it at that time.
We haven't had any banks contact us yet, so.
Okay. Do you have any other advice you'd like to pass on to the bankers that are on the call with us?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Do it.
I would agree. Yeah, if you're thinking it's a larger project than what you want to take on, it's really not. Just by coordinating with a few of your vendors, that you should be able to easily take care of it. It's not a daunting process.
Well, the resource slide went right by us, but I want to let you know that when you do switch to .bank, there are plenty of resources and support for you to lean on. The fTLD team and the experts in each area of implementation make the process smooth and painless as possible. And fTLD has strict hosting requirements, and CBAI's hosting is specialized for financial institutions and their website needs, including the .bank compliance security. CBAI's managed services also are bank compliant. So if you need secured services or to switch to a compliant provider, just let me know. We'll have those resources available for you. And I believe, Kristen, do you have some questions you'd like to ask the bank, the Mark or Chad?
I do actually. All of these questions just for both of you guys. So just fight amongst yourselves to figure out who's going to answer. Have you guys noticed any differences in how your customers interact with your website or online banking or your emails since you switched to your .bank domain?
Again, in my case, Kristen, it's been long enough ago now. I'm trying to think back. The only real difference, again, the people that use the mobile banking app, it doesn't affect them anyway. But how they use our website, I can't pick anything out to share with you along those lines.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd echo what Mark said. We've not had any customers really tell us any issues as far as, I think as long as they're able to get to their online banking login, they're happy.
Okay.
Yeah. And what I do hear from people, Kristen, is, when they ask you what your email address is and you say, well, it's just mfield@liberty.bank. Now that's liberty.bank.com. It's like, no, it's just liberty.bank. LibertyBank.com? No, Liberty.bank. So, the average consumer may not even be familiar that is a valid URL, but we get that every once in a while. But, once they figure it out, it's like, oh, that's easy. Yeah, it
right. Is. Did you guys face any initial skepticism from your boards?
Go ahead, Chad.
We did not. I mean, our board was fully supportive of our decision to convert to the .bank. So no issues from our board.
Yeah, same here. Our board, I guess I made a compelling argument or something and they caved in.
Right. What was your most challenging technical requirement of the fTLD framework to implement, if there was anything challenging at all?
Chad?
I know it was back in 2023 when we registered, and I can't say that there's anything that stood out to me that was a big challenge. I don't think it was that difficult of a process.
Yeah, and again, Jenny and I were kind of learning as we went, and if there were challenges, she'd have to answer that question more than me.
Okay. Were there any, Jenny?
No, not really. It was really just a learning curve and just making sure that we had those security requirements from fTLD in place and that we were compliant. And fTLD's security team is awesome, Heather Diaz to work with, and I call her the compliance police officer. And because she really she reviews these sites ongoing, and she really helped bring us up to speed as far as what we needed every time. We weren't doing it per site where we were ready for the next site to go on board, and so we were working with their developers to ensure that all of that was in place. So that's really the only hiccups that we had at the beginning 10 years ago.
Nice.
May I chime in here for a moment,
Sure.
Kristen?
Yeah.
So having worked with hundreds and hundreds of bankers over the years, when it comes to our security requirements, I think the one area that does prove a little bit challenging is on the email authentication side. And it's because a lot of banks don't authenticate their email now, and they should be, because that is the best way to prevent phishing and spoofing. Even as I said earlier, if you're not planning to move to .bank anytime soon, you ought to be authenticating your email on your .com domain. And
Yes.
so you can reach out to Jenny for resources, you can reach out to me for resources, but it's not a complicated thing to do. It does take a little bit of time, but the power and the value behind that is really, really critical.
Most definitely.
It is.
I'm dealing with a lot of cybersecurity issues. I have to agree with you. It could not be overstated. Have you guys seen a measurable decrease in your phishing or spoofing attempts against your bank since you adopted the .bank domain name?
For us, I mean, we haven't really seen a whole lot of spoofing or phishing to begin with. So, I mean, I wouldn't say that there's been a measurable decrease, just for the fact that I think the measures that we've got in place with our M365 kind of help that anyway. So,
Yeah, and in our case, it wasn't that our bank emails were being spoofed necessarily that prompted me to look to the .bank. It was, all the other junk emails and the other people that we watched get spoofed. So,
Right.
I had enough fear in me to jump into that, even though we had not had a lot of reports of anything looking like it was coming from our bank.
Right. So basically using it more as a preventative measure.
Absolutely.
Yes. Now, has the migration influenced your cyber insurance premiums or your regulatory compliance audits, if you feel comfortable sharing the information?
go ahead, Mark.
Okay. What I can tell you is I just got my renewal for the cyber insurance and it didn't go up a penny. I don't know that I've nailed them down to show me, sometimes, on your homeowners or your car policy or something, you get a discount for this or that and it shows on your bill. I've never seen it expressed in dollars and cents. I just feel that our premium has been fairly reasonable and it has not changed in recent years. And that's obviously part of the questionnaire that you have to fill out for that is, outlining how everything like that is set up so they know about it. And the fact that the bill didn't raise my blood pressure tells me that they're still taking it into consideration, but they don't itemize it on the bill.
Makes sense. Anything to add, Chad?
Yeah, I checked with our cyber insurance carrier as well, and unfortunately said that the .bank versus the .com didn't play any part of the premium, so no changes here.
Okay. Have you noticed any difference with audits? Probably Mark more than Chad. You haven't really had it going for that long yet, Chad.
I don't recall there being any serious discussions. And again, we switched long enough ago that there may be something that escapes me, but
It was a while back.
a few exam cycles ago, but it certainly, certainly didn't add one iota of anything to our burden in the regulatory or audit realm.
Good to know. Now, if you guys could start this process all over again, what would you do differently if there's anything?
We would have probably converted earlier. I mean, just knowing that that it's not that difficult of a process, we would have probably done it as soon as we bought the .bank.
Yeah, and in our case, I don't know that I could have done anything differently. I had Jenny running Blocker for me, and we did it as quick as it was coming on and becoming available. So, I can't think of a thing that I would do different.
Okay. I have a viewer question for you guys.
Mhm.
Jill asked, what kind of insight can you share when you changed your website to .bank? some info. They haven't changed. They have changed their emails already, but they haven't moved their website yet.
So just so I understand the question, Jill, is it, so you've got the emails are already .bank, but the website is not? Because I'm not.
That's my understanding with the question.
Okay. Yeah, I would encourage you to get them all the same, just for consistent message to the customer. But in terms of other insight, when we changed, it really was about as painless a process as I can imagine. And again, when it went fairly smoothly, customers were quick to adopt and adapt. And you know, we've been pleased with the process for 10 years on this name.
And she was wondering if you had any issues with your online banking during your website switch.
We did not.
No, none.
Okay. Was that everything you needed, Jill? She's typing, so it takes a couple of minutes to get that response through.
Sure.
Oh, she says thank you. Thank you guys very much. And that's all of my questions for you. So thank you guys. I appreciate your answers.
You bet.
Well, I want to introduce Kristen Rogers to everyone. A lot of bankers that are on the webinar with us know her. And Kristen is the owner of Kristen's Concepts. She is a web developer who specializes in the financial industry. She has extensive knowledge of security needed for a bank's website, as well as the compliance measures you need to meet to breeze through all your audits and web application audits, I should say. Going live with your .bank domain is the perfect time to revamp and modernize your current website. She is full of ideas, and again, she's very bright, and everything she needs to know about your needs and requirements to stay compliant and secured, she has all that knowledge available. I work hand in hand with Kristen to ensure your transition to .bank is smooth, it's seamless, and painless. It's completely taken care of by experts in their fields, and there's no downtime for your services. And so this is Kristen from Kristen's Concepts. And Kristen, do you have a few words you want to add real quick?
I do, Jenny. I would like to add that we work together to build the solutions for you. .bank is a gold standard, and transitioning to that verified namespace really drastically improves your baseline domain-based security, including your website and your email. And it can even, in some cases, lower your insurance premiums. I guess that depends on who you're getting that from. Because the transition involves adopting rigorous security measures. And some insurers will reward that. You'll have to discuss that with your own insurer to see if they'll offer reductions to you, if that's really important to you. But because of the stringent verification processes, no one can ever purchase that lookalike domain to use for fraudulent purposes, just like Craig was talking about earlier. And not to mention, the .bank top-level domain enhances your audit readiness because it enforces strict, verified cybersecurity requirements that satisfy multiple compliance zones. And to me, you guys who actually already know me, you know that compliance is super important to me. I want to see you guys breeze through all your compliance needs. Because only chartered banks and savings associations can use .bank, it kind of acts as a built-in control for the rigorous IT and data security regulations. Now, bundling your .bank launch with a website redesign or a mobile app update is a very strategic way to transform a necessary technical upgrade into a really powerful marketing message about your commitment to customer asset and asset security, sort of the way Chad did. And that was all for mine. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions for Craig or Mark, Chad, further? Any further questions?
All of my questions, they have been so thorough and so wonderful in answering everything up front. They answered all of my questions. I appreciate you guys.
Craig, I have one question that I wanted to ask you. How tedious is it for the verification process for the banker to go out there, register, or do a search on their .bank domain they like? How tedious is that process, that registration process?
So the process is not tedious at all. So it involves 2 steps. One is coming to our website, completing a verification application, and it probably takes all of 2 minutes to complete. I think I said it earlier. And what you want to do is search for the domain that you might like to have. And there's a lot of flexibility in how you structure it. If your name is Craig's National Bank of Texas, it doesn't mean you need to register Craig's National Bank of Texas.bank. You can do an acronym, you could do something shorter, as long as the name that you're seeking corresponds to your legal name or your branding. So it could be a trademark, it could be a trade name, it could be a common law right that you've obtained because you've used a name over a certain period of time. So you come to us to get verified. We can generally complete the entire process within 1 business day, as long as the bank is responsive to any questions that we might have. The second part is you do need to go to one of our authorized partners to purchase and register the name. There might have been a little bit of confusion earlier today. We don't sell direct to end users. It's not very common in the domain name industry for companies to do that. For example, even .com, the owner operator of that business, does not sell direct to end users. So we do have partners listed on our website. I think a lot of folks here probably have used a company called Encirca. They were at one time an ICBA corporate member, and people like to use corporate members of ICBA. They continue to be a large registrar. So you come to us to get verified, and then we give you data that you then take to our registrar partner, and that's where you would actually pay for the name and register it. Whether you buy ancillary services from them or whether you get it from CBAI, that is completely your prerogative. All we do is say you must do these certain things, and then you will use the providers that you want to use to accomplish that.
That's what I found too with the last domain name that I had looked up for a bank. And then I selected Encirca because that's who they wanted. They're an ICBA member. And I believe they still are given a 5% discount for members, whether or not they're a preferred provider or not. But with that, I was able to go to Encirca and register the domain and purchase a domain and register it as a .bank domain. The registrar is like Network Solutions to everyone. Just so that you know, a lot of you are familiar with GoDaddy, Network Solutions, domains names are us, or whatever the case may be. They're a registrar, and CBAI is not a registrar. And so once we get the .bank domain, we apply a registrar, and then at that level, a lot of registrars offer hosting. They offer email hosting. The banks that I work with, I just work with the registrar at that level, and move the website to us when we build it, as well as DNS services, help lower those costs because we're all about our banks, and so I just want you to know that's the level that I start working at before I bring everything over to CBAI's hosting level, or any other host would do. Do you agree with that, Craig? Okay. All right. Kristen, I got a couple questions for you.
Okay.
about website migration and relaunching a .bank and security for that .bank. Do you adhere to the WCAG standards to satisfy the American Disabilities Act? You have that built in?
I do. I utilize all of the development options that are possible within WordPress to ensure that sites are compliant with the Americans with Disabilities Act. And I promote the use of AudioEye ADA compliant software on my clients' websites, which provides a compliance screen that can perform some automated corrections, but it also gives us a report from automated scans that I can use to guide my efforts to get a higher compliance score for the ADA.
Okay. Do you have that ADA compliance software? Is that your personal copy or your relationship? Is it directly with AudioEye?
It's through CBAI.
Do you provide enhanced level security to further strengthen the mandatory security requirements and in your development and designs for your .bank websites?
I do. I ensure that server level HSTS is enabled and enforced, as well as site level HSTS. I also ensure that server level security headers are set up and enforced so that the secure headers are always included, even on error pages and standalone documents like images and PDF files. And I also perform malware and virus scans on my clients' websites, perform repairs and fixes where and when it's needed, and ensure that those malware and virus definitions are kept up to date. I update software as needed, spam filtering for contact form submissions, and manage attack attempts in real time to ensure the sites remain safe and secure. And I do all of this stuff on a daily basis. I respond to daily. I respond to downtime and attack.
That's good.
Yeah, I do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I also enable multi-factor authentication for all login accounts to the back end of websites. And we track user activity on both the front end and the back end to ensure we have the compliance records and the security records that you need just in case. We hope we never need them, but if we do, they're there.
Great. Are there any other benefits as you doing website maintenance? I know a lot of maintenance providers, they usually just visit the back end of the sites maybe once a month, update their plugins and that sort of thing. And there's very little communication with the bank, keeping them apprised of anything that's going on with their website. Do you provide any service like that along with your maintenance?
I do. Well, as I just mentioned, I do the updates and the scans, software backups and all that every day, 7 days a week. I don't take a day off. And I also make sure that every Friday, all of my clients receive a weekly report that they can save and show to any auditors to prove that this is being done on a daily basis, ongoing. So FDIC auditors and the like, they tend to like to see the reports. A little special thing for them.
Right. For you developing a website or redeveloping a website, or even migrating it from a .com to a .bank, do you require that maintenance is done by you? Are they two separate services?
They are two separate services, and I require that 1 year is performed by me. If they need to go somewhere else after that year, they'll be able to notice the difference. But that first year, at the very least, I want them fully protected and compliant. It's like I said, every day those updates are being applied. And the reason I do it every day is because you have these software engineers who find vulnerabilities in their software and they release an update, we'll say a lot of these companies that only do it once a month, they update your website, and then within a day or two, there's software update released by the software engineer who actually wrote the software, and your website's not getting updated for another 30 days or so. So you have that vulnerability sitting there for that long. And I don't think that that's acceptable. It needs
And
to
when
be
you're referring
done.
to software, are you meaning the plugins that go along with especially WordPress sites?
Yes, WordPress core updates and all of the plugin updates, as well as the virus definitions and malware definitions. That all needs to be updated as soon as it's released.
Sure. Can you seamlessly integrate like loan calculators or I guess online banking? Can you adhere that to the strict requirements for .bank domains?
Yes, 100%. Most of the loan calculators that I already work with are provided by CBAI and they're already compliant. Other ones may need a state or federal disclosure added, which I will do as part of the development process. And I work with my clients to ensure that their online banking options are fully compliant with the .bank requirements, as well as all of the state and federal regulations and with all of the security concerns addressed before we even start development. We need to have everything down pat and know exactly what we're doing up front. That makes the development process go a lot smoother. And so far, with all of my clients, their online banking is provided by a third party like Fiserv, and they are responsible for the implementation of multi-factor authentication on their portal and document sharing. So we just have to make sure that our security and compliance works seamlessly with theirs.
Do you prominently display, I guess I want to say security badges, part of your target to achieve and maintain that compliance for the,
Yeah.
did I ask that question right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the security badges are prominently displayed on my client websites as a part of the target to achieve and maintain that full compliance that we strive for.
And what's required by fTLD.
Right.
Okay.
Hey,
Good.
Jenny.
Yes.
Hey, can I jump in here? I'm going to have to get off. We're
Okay,
at
Mike.
2:15, and I've got a question to ask that probably has nothing to do with if my bank was .bank or .com, but we had a customer lose $20,000 a couple weeks ago. We wired the money out. Let me explain how this scam worked and see what these experts had to say about it. So it was a business customer. He was knowledgeable. He wasn't stupid. He wasn't elderly. And he brought my loan officer the wire instructions from this company. He wanted this. He was buying something with racing industry. So they had the logo, had everything perfect. So he brings them the wire instructions. And later, when we found out it was a scam, he received a legitimate email from the company selling him something. And almost immediately, somehow they intercepted that email. And he got a second email that looked almost identical to the other one. The logos, all that with the company. And it basically said, oh, hey, we sent you old wire instructions. Sorry, use these wire instructions. So he never mentioned it to us. It upset my loan officer. It actually went to a legitimate bank in South Dakota, which my loan officer called them and said, hey, you've got a fraudulent checking account there. We just wired that in. And the police are handling it now. He doesn't blame us. We followed his instructions. And is there anything we could have done to prevent this? That's my question.
Well, a lot of it is training your staff, really, the cyber threats that are out there are so sophisticated anymore that, you know, it's just increasing, and adopting a .bank domain. This is another reason that banks should go there, is you need those defensive measures in place. And
well, I agree, but you see what I'm explaining? It wouldn't have made any difference.
No, not.
I mean, the
not
police are handling it right now. He's trying to get his money back. We tried to reverse it through our correspondent, and the way they explained it to me, we can try, but they don't even have to respond to it. So I've been doing this job for 40 years. Fields got me by 1 year. I started in '86. And all those years, I had somebody call me once when we received money, and they said they wanted to reclaim a wire. And I said, well, the money's gone. And whoever was on the other line said, okay. And that was all I ever heard from it. So a wire is a wire. It's guaranteed, as we all know. But I just wondered, I think that the .bank is excellent idea. I'll probably do it. That fee, is it asset-based, or does a $500 million bank pay $2,500 just like my $56 million bank? That wasn't answered. Craig?
Yeah. I mean, the domain name is the same pretty much, regardless of who you buy it from. It's probably around $1,000 a year, and the other $1,500 is maybe you need a better secure DNS product, or maybe you need a different type of certificate, or maybe you need help from an email authentication service provider and they charge a nominal monthly fee. So the base core expense should be pretty comparable. But if you're a bank of 10 employees or you're a bank of 100 employees, there's more involved, not necessarily cost, but time and labor.
Right.
Right. I mean, you're going to pay the same for, like Craig said, for your .bank domain. And as being a hosting provider and DNS provider for .bank, you're going to still have your hosting fee like you do now, but we include DNS, secure DNS within that fee. And to help keep that cost down for banks, some hosting providers, they have their fee, and then there's a DNS fee as well. So with our services right now, we have tier hosting. So on the tier you're on right now, it would cost you $2,295 a year, Mike. You're going to pay your $1,000 a year renewal for your .bank, and you're going to pay your annual hosting fee. That includes your secure DNS and meets all those requirements for .bank. So some of those fees are separate fees. With our services, they're combined. Okay. Does that help? That answer your question?
Yeah, and then this is real small, but the .bank, everything I see is a capital B. Does that have to be that way? Most things are lowercase.
No, it's just our approach to branding. But if you type in all caps into a browser bar or all small letters into a browser bar, they resolve to all small letters.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. That's all I had. And like I said, on that fraud, I'm starting to see a lot more. We're small. Mark knows how small we are. Xenia is 450 people. We have a branch in Florida, which is 5,000. But we had a Bitcom fraud last summer. Lady lost 25,000 feeding the Bitcom Bitcoin machine at Huck's. So I was glad to see where we're changing the laws on that, because those shouldn't even be there. And poor lady, there was some age issues there. She was more upset about lying to me than she was losing her 25,000. And she had plenty of money. But it's just, the fraud's everywhere. And even down here where I used to be kind of sheltered from it. So no, this is a great idea. Good seminar. I'm going to have to jump off of here. Thank you very much, Jenny.
I'll follow up with you, Mike.
Yeah, follow up with me. I'm very interested, and thank you all.
Great, thank you. Kristen, real quick, in lieu of time here, What
Mhm.
content management system do you utilize? And do you require multi-factor authentication for those who manage the website or admins at the bank? And do you provide training as well for your content management systems?
Okay, I utilize WordPress content management system, and my clients do get login credentials when requested, or if they're not continuing their maintenance service after beyond a year, I make sure that they have a secure account. They do have multi-factor authentication, and that is required. I provide training to use the WordPress and our page editors via email, phone, or video conference according to my client's preference, what they're most comfortable with. And I also provide ongoing support that enables them to utilize their site in a more hands-off way. They can send changes to me that they would like to see implemented on that site, and I can make changes for them as part of that annual maintenance add-on agreement, which is required for the first year.
How costly is it? Usually I've seen the numbers all over the place.
For me, for a non-CBAI member, I charge $1,400 a year. For CBAI members, they get a discount, and that's $1,200 a year.
Good, good.
Considering it's done every day, that's a pretty good deal.
That is pretty good. Yes, and a lot of banks that I do business with and that have had you redevelop their website or develop a new website. You've really taken a lot of worry off a lot of them that had that responsibility to keep that information up to date, and they have found that to be very beneficial. So kudos to such a great job for these banks. I appreciate that.
I'm so glad to hear that. I really try hard to make life easier for my clients.
Sure. Is there anything else? Kristen, you have anything else that you would like to ask?
That was about everything. No one has really posted a question for me, so
Okay.
we're good. But I have some questions for you.
Okay.
Okay. To host a .bank domain, a web hosting provider has to strictly comply with all the cybersecurity requirements mandated by fTLD registry services. And
Right.
because .bank is a restricted and highly secure environment, standard commercial hosting configurations usually fail the daily compliance audits.
Correct.
One of those requirements is that transport layer security version 1.2 or higher must be strictly enforced on all web servers, with legacy versions completely disabled. Is your hosting fully compliant with that?
We exclusively enforce 1.2 and TLS 1.3 across all of our web servers.
Awesome.
And outdated protocols, legacy protocols are completely and permanently disabled.
Okay. Are your authoritative name server host names deployed within the .bank domain zone? And do they completely mirror the .bank security requirements?
Yes, the .bank domain zone does. We completely mirror that. Those requirements. We are set up fully to comply with the fTLD registry's policies, including the DNS SEC, and that they require strict HTTPS usage and advanced email protocols such as SPF, DKIM, and DMARC.
Nice. Does your DNS platform restrict DNS resource records to block unauthorized third-party mail relays from using .bank domains as a requirement set forth by fTLD?
fTLD enforces strict email authentication. So mandatory DMARC, SPF, and DKIM, those records must be published and to declare exactly which servers are authorized to send the email on their behalf.
Perfect. Do you have role-based access controls in place to ensure that only authorized personnel can modify DNS or hosting configurations? And are they required to authenticate with multi-factor authentication?
We have 2 individuals who are allowed to update DNS, and there are no assigned roles to have a banker update their DNS. And yes, we are required to have multi-factor authentication for access.
Okay. And do you provide an annual due diligence package and include information on your hosting data centers, SOC 2 Type 2, or SSAE 18 audit report?
We do. Annually, I send SOC 2 Type 2 reports to all of our banks, as well as CBAI certificate of insurance and CBAI's financials, as well as, we do quarterly vulnerability testing, and they receive quarterly reports. And then any new reports that come available or have been updated during that 12-month period, I send out when they become available. So yes, they do get the package automatically, or they can call and ask for it upon request too.
Nice. And that was all of my questions. Thank you.
Did you get any further questions from any of the participants?
I haven't, just that one from Jill.
Okay. I believe we may have, I can't get this to move over there. Okay, we go over there. Maybe I've reached our end here. Once I get this to go here, it won't move. Okay. Can you see that? Well, I just want to let everyone know that fTLD does offer free consultations, and it's a simple switch to .bank. And I believe there's tons of information out on your website, isn't there, Craig? And a starter switch kit, I believe. And utilizing CBAI's hosting and managed services will ensure compliance for your strict .bank regulations. And you can contact me at any time to get that information on hosting, and I will help you purchase your .bank domain as well. And having websites built through Kristen's concept couldn't be any easier. She will ensure that site is compliant and meets those regulations, as well as state and federal regulations. And you can contact her directly as well. We will provide all that information to you after the seminar and send those resources to you along with all supporting documentation. And we can also make this webinar available for you if you would like to watch it again and go through everything again. It will be there. And we will include that as well. I'd like to thank everyone so much and for making it through this webinar and dealing with the technical difficulties at the beginning. I think we're under a tornado watch right now. And that you have at least learned what you need to do to switch to .bank, or at least get started on it. And always feel free to reach out to any of us. And just let us know when you're ready to begin. We're here for you. Craig, thank you so much for joining us. Mark and Chad, I appreciate your input, and hope to hear from all of you soon. Please don't hesitate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.